The drawer. Buggy. I don't care. Sorry, Bugsy's up here with me today. I received some questions from Azira, some from Zoel, and some from Brandon. Bugsy. He's not listening to me. Okay. First things first. Once again, I have my little book. I'm sorry, he's distracting. Brandon wants to know, how come Drew basically started dressing like an Anarta? And the reasoning is, like you said, you could probably figure it out if you read my threads, is that now that she and Turin are sort of an item, and I say sort of because he wasn't here to do a lot of the threads we were going to, she doesn't want, how should I put this? She dresses like an Anarta so that he won't get a bad reputation. Yeah, it's what are you doing? Something like that. She doesn't want to embarrass him now that she's higher in society. Bugsy, leave the door alone. Buggy? You can play with the ribbon, but you're not opening the door. So that's kind of why she starts dressing like them. She isn't really comfortable. It's kind of like Zoel, too much exposed skin. Plus, fragile bones being exposed. And the fact that it kind of shows off how malnourished she is. Sorry. I thought he would just sit here, but he's not. So that's why she dresses like them now. No! Buggy, no! Go sit in your box. Go, then leave. Fine. And Bugsy is leaving. Brandon also wanted to know Drew's best trait, which would probably be her selflessness. When she meets Zoel and they have their little thread that got featured, she states that she would learn whatever. Where you can control elements. We're just gonna say that. I don't feel like butchering too many words today. She says that even if it would have hurt her, there have been times where learning how to manipulate and make water would have saved people in Windreach, and that would have been fine with her, even if it killed her in the process. So, probably her selflessness. Her worst trait. Oh, so you decided to stay, I see. Her worst trait would be probably, once again, her selflessness, is that she feels she has to write her entire species, that she has to make up for everything they've done. and she kind of feels like she has to do it. She also feels like she has to protect, like I said, to the point of killing someone, her little family. So it's kind of two-sided selflessness. It's good, but it's also bad. Okay, how would she make up if she did make up to her goddess if she did kill her two evil family members? And got away with it, he said, because that's Brandon. You get away with everything when you're Brandon, I guess. I honestly don't know if she could make up for, or if she would even try. She would probably just accept that she's never going to be able to make up for it because, you know, the goddess of healing versus taking two lives, even if it probably is for the best. I really don't know if there would be a way. I mean, she'd probably try. Like, you know. Not sure. Yeah, I really don't know. I'm sure she'd try, but I'm not sure what she'd do as far as trying to repent. Because murder is probably the biggest thing you could do to upset a goddess of healing. Just is. That and probably withholding healing, because when you get marked by her, it's you heal anybody, even if they attack you. You defend yourself to where your enemy is subdued, and then if it's possible, you heal them, and then go about your business. So, yeah, I don't think killing would be salvageable to, yeah. You also mentioned something about when I said Drew would be like carrying Brandon in her shirt. And you were like, yeah, I'm okay with it. But then again, you said you'd be biting. So they're like, yes, it was freaked Drew out when she found out you were a Kelvic and that you just weren't a little bat she was carrying around. But, you said you're gonna bite. So you can't. We'll see if you behave. That's to Brandon. Zoe asked about a spider that fits her personality. And there is one. It's a tarantula, of course. Because when we speak spiders, to me it's tarantulas. Which would be, I believe it's called a, what is it called? A dwarf? Yeah, a dwarf Chilean red. And they are very shy, very docile. My cousin has one, he breeds them, and she hides in her cave constantly. And they're usually recommended for beginners, and so probably that. Um, and they're kind of cute if you look at them. They've got a little bit of a red butt. And then the sun shift because I'm like, as for looks, there is a tarantula referred to as the Oriental Ghost, and that's, in terms of looks, is fitting for Drew. Okay, if she wasn't a spider, and this one's probably going to catch a lot of people off. I was going to say butterflies just to mess with you, so I was. But, actually, she would probably be a deer. Don't get ideas, Azira. Just because of the way she acts, she's very timid, and she's been shot at a few times. Or she'd be like one of those, and once again, Zold, this has nothing to do with you. Like one of those horses. Like a wild horse. Their long, flowy manes and whatnot. So that's probably what she would be. A deer? Or some sort of forest horse. And I know that there is such a thing. I don't know what they're called offhand. Lindsay Sterling. You seem to really like her. My favorite songs would be Shatter Me, Song of the Caged Bird, Electric Daisy Violin or something. I like that one too. And I like her rendition of the Phantom of the Opera. Big fan of Phantom of the Opera. For Drew, probably the Song of the Caged Bird. In fact, I thought of using that as sort of one of her themes for this spring. That and Shatter Me. So yeah. Those would be the songs. Okay, why did I write diagonally? It's like I can't write straight down. I write most memorable traits of her web. Well, Drew pretty much views everyone besides her race inherently good. Maybe the Zith and whatnot. But humans in general are inherently good. Actually, she's quite jealous of humans because they can have children and not die. So most of the traits she'd remember would be good traits. Let's see. The most memorable. Well, let's start with Azira. Azira's would probably be her fieriness, which, I mean, she's very passionate about certain things. I mean, it's her way or no way, or so her fire, pretty much. and that can be both bad and good. Kara would be her genuine innocence of almost everything. And she too has that kind of selflessness. I think she describes it as an inferior complex. But she's very endearing. Soul. She sees a lot of her father in Zol. So he'll say something, and more than any other member of her web, it will impact her more. He mentions something about, haven't you suffered enough? Don't you think you belong, or don't you believe that you deserve to be saved just like everybody else? And I don't think he's trying to chide her or be like, but she kind of takes it that way, and kind of just okay, kind of. So Zol has, I don't really know what you would call it, but she takes his words more to heart, I think. And once again, Zol is another passionate person when it comes to his horses and oh, I forgot one from Brandon. Drusilla's worst fear. Just looked down and saw that. I can mention it now. Pretty much, if I found out I've been mispronouncing their name for 5 years. It's like Simon Esra, and I've been trying to say it's Simon Esra, Simon Esra. I will keep mispronouncing it though. If they were to attack Windreach and like take people, especially if it was like one of her brothers who she holds with pretty high respect, that they wouldn't do that. She would be forced to kill them, defending her home. But I think that would be one of her worst fears. That and horses. Like, she does not like horses. Because once again, she's very delicate bone structure. Horses buck. Horses will roll with their riders still on them. Horses kick. So anything or any predicament that would put her in where she might get hurt, like shatter a bone or something, would be her fears. And Zol's trying to help with that, but I don't know if it'll be a permanent thing, or if she just won't be afraid of this one horse. Because Zol falls off a table and she thinks that the horses are going crazy. She scurries up the ceiling for safety. Yes, horses. Horses. That and another Semestra. Like, if she found another one in Windreach, yeah, she'd probably chase them off or kill them. Unless they really could prove they were not there for any malicious reason. And then she still would probably be avoiding them. Okay, how does Drew feel about her web? Wait. I got to soul. Yeah, that's about it. Well, there's Turin. And Drew met Turin when they were young. And he was only like in his, whatever their pants are called. I can't think right now. There's sun in my eyes. And he's like messing around in the snow with like no shirt or anything on. And she kind of yells at him. Kind of calls him an idiot. She's like, "What are you doing? You're gonna get frostbite." And he's like, "Wait, the snow bites?" And she's like, "Not really, but you'll freeze your fingers off. Get your clothes on." So the most memorable trait for Turin, at least for Drew, because they act like kids when they're together, would probably be he's a show-off. Yeah, that's not probably what anybody else would see in Turin, but Drew just sees him as this goofy show-off. In a thread from 2 years ago we're still working on, he gets freaked out by a Jack-in-the-Box. And turns to Drew and says, "It's devil magic." And just walks off. And Drew's more like, "Wait a minute, I'm gonna investigate this." And she kind of shakes the box and opens and closes it and kind of pulls on the little puppet inside. And she's like, "It's not magic, it's metal bits and things moving inside." But yeah, he's a show-off. Her feelings about her web. She's happy she has a family, even as mismatched as they are, which I don't think bugs her at all. If anything, probably makes her feel better. Having a horseman, a Mirren, along with the Anarta, because she doesn't feel that much of an outsider, white hair, whatever. Zoll has dark hair. Turin's got like this burgundy type hair. And yeah. Does she wish any of the relationships were different? And this kind of ties into one of Azira's questions about how recent relationships have changed Drew. And that would be Azira. Drew sees that, well, Azira's told her stuff about her childhood and whatnot. And she at first sees Azira a lot like her sister. Just this angry, And as she starts to kind of talk to Azira, she sees that Azira isn't like that at all. She's been hurt so many times, and it's just built up these walls, and then walls on top of walls, and more walls, and wall-like things with walls. And so she's kind of cocooned her feelings and whatnot. And I think Drew wishes that Azira would be like a little more open and trust her a little more. In the birthday thread, when she pulls Drew aside and gives her the arrows, that was something that I think Drew was like, that's you. That's you being you and not hiding. But yeah, the difference would be that she wants these walls that Azira's built to kind of crumble. I mean, she can have them for other people, but Drusilla really wants Azira to know she can trust her, and that she's not gonna like stab her in the back. And in one of our threads, Azira mentioned something about them like dumping her soup on her as a Yazi. And Drew kind of says to herself, if I had been there, I would have shared my soup with you. So, like, even from when they like first met, Drew's been trying to coax her out of this fortress she's built. So yeah, that's probably the one relationship she wishes was different, would be Azira. Because, I mean, the other one would be, and Kara just told me that she and Zol finally got together, and that was going to be my other one. It's like, you two, just get together already. Oh well. Is there anything missing from her web? Well, she kind of grew up in a dysfunctional family, to say the least. So I don't really think she has any ideas to whether what is a normal family or web to what she has. So, yeah. I honestly don't think she really knows what a typical family is like, where there's a mom, a dad, and the kids, and everyone's happy, yada yada. But then again, with all of them, what they believe is a family is different. Like for Zol, his dad had multiple wives. For the two girls, they grew up in sort of a foster care type situation, because that's kind of what being a Yazi is. So even though it's just like a hodgepodge of this person, that person, and all these races, I don't think she feels like anything's missing. But yeah, she's very happy with her family. She would also like it if Azira would stop trying to... There's something going on between Azira and Zol, that they don't like each other or something, and I'm kind of in the dark about it. I need to read some threads. But she doesn't want anybody in her little family to not like anybody else. So there's, yeah. Okay. Azira's questions. The relationships, recent ones changed Drew. It hasn't happened yet, but Brandon is going to be a big factor in that. No, I'm not saying that they're going to be bonded or anything like that. But, like I said in the last one, Drew's questioning, where's Turin? Is he alive? I'm kind of stuck up in this, this luxurious house all alone. And then she finds a bat, and he's kind of the source of her happiness and kind of keeps her upbeat and whatnot. But I have every intention of Drew and Brandon being very close. Like I said, I don't think they're going to be bonded. I don't think he wants to, because he's a bat with ambitions, and I get that. But he will be residing with her. So he'll probably be another brother figure. Or almost, I don't want to say like a kid, because he does appear to be so old. But then when you hear he's only like 3, it's like, oh my goodness, you're just a kid. But yeah. Any other relations? Well, there haven't been any real new relationships. It's mainly just she reconnected with Sierra. I suppose that kinda, like, they met back when she was expecting, however many years ago. And that was pretty much all. She attended her baby shower, spoke to her a little bit. And so I guess Sierra could be considered a new relationship. And I think it makes Drew feel good that even though she's an outsider, this Endel will talk to her, and they kind of spend the day together. So that's kind of, I guess all in all, the relationships have, from when I first made Drew, which was another different than, she turned out different than I planned her. When I first made her, she didn't have a lot of relationships, and it was more her sticking to the shadows. She would hang around with the decks, or I think that's how they're pronounced, the drudges, whatever. She'd kind of give them safe haven if they needed it. But now she actually feels like she sort of belongs here. That it's like Zoel said in his, that it's home. That she's finally found home. Even if she looks weird, and even if over half of the people there aren't happy she's there, she's home, she has her family, she has her job, which she is very proud of. So yeah, that's how her relationships have changed her. She's home. And I didn't ever think she'd get that. With Turin, he finally was like, decided, to give them a shot. And that's another thing I never thought she'd find, is someone who loved her. And whether they stay together with all this stuff going on, or they don't, and they just remain really good friends, she's found a lot of things she didn't think she would. And I'm happy for her. I really am. I kind of view her as that one daughter who's always sad and depressed and nothing goes right for them. And it's like, you finally got something. Yay, you know? Why does Drew worship the goddess she does? Drew once told one of the priests of the spider god, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, that maybe it was better off if they all just did die. And she said, look, our god isn't doing as much as I think he could. Well, we could reach out to this goddess, and she might be able to save us and make us not be monsters anymore. Not have to take women and in Windreach, they're pretty cut off most of the time. And then you get things where angry gods are exploding out of mountains, and the water's tainted, and there are toxic fumes in the tunnels. Lots of good stuff. And if it's kind of something to do with me, growing up I've always wanted to be a nurse. It's like, if I can't help someone with what I do in life, I don't feel fulfilled. And I think that's where Drew gets it. That she needs to save people, help people. Her people have killed, countless women. And if she can save some, whether it be, going back to Kalinor and being able to help her own people's women have children, or if it's healing someone who got hurt in, like, one of the tunnels collapsing, that is kind of would be her, I don't even know what the words are, but yeah, that's kind of, like I said earlier, she feels the need to just save everybody. That's what she has to do. And make clothes. If her web was endangered, and she could only save one person, who and why? I actually had to think about that for a while. Darn you, Azira. You and your questions. It probably would be Azira, because I feel like if she saved Zol or Kara and let the other one die, that saving them really wouldn't be saving them. I mean, if they both died together, they could go on to their next lives together. Because if you save Zol, he's going to be forever mourning Kara. And if you save Kara, she's going to be mourning Zol. Like he said in so many of his videos, they are supposed to be each other's match. So if you save one and not the other, you're not really saving anybody. So yeah, she'd probably save Azira. Yeah. I think that's all of the questions. Yeah, I think that's all the questions actually. Cool. I do have one story for Zol and his butterflies. Which, don't feel bad about the butterflies. Azira, don't feel bad about the cotton wool. The thing I can't stand is sand. It drives me nuts. I hate it. It just gets into everything. It's like I love to swim. It's like, oh, we're going to the beach, and it's like, but there's sand there. No, you don't even like get in the sand, and you come home, and it's like all over you. But before the monarch butterflies became so endangered, I used to raise them. I was trying to release one of them because they had cocooned and, you know, all that good stuff they do. And I took it outside, and it climbed up my arm, and it stayed like right here on my head for like an hour. And it would flap its wings, and because I couldn't see what it was doing, I would jump every time it moved. And I actually had my cell phone, and I called my mom in the house, and I was like, this butterfly's not leaving anytime soon, it looks like. And I ended up taking pictures of it because I couldn't see what it was doing. And that was the only way I could figure out what it was doing perched on my head. So yeah, that was one time I was kind of freaked out by a butterfly. Simply because all of a sudden this wing would appear in my face. But now, thanks to you, Zol, I cannot look at like a spider scurrying across the room without hearing your voice saying, "Don't look at me! Don't look at me!" So yeah, thank you for that. I'm gonna hear and like see you all crouch down every time I see one. And Azira, I think of you whenever I see like chicken cutlets and whatnot. But yeah, you guys are awesome. So I think that's about it. I'm not sure where my cat went, if he's under my bed or if he went into my mom's room, or I'll find him eventually. So yes. More questions are appreciated. I enjoy talking to my computer. Spring is almost here. I'm so excited.